Welcome to H360 Health Talk. We're here with Ken Dashow this afternoon. Ken is a New York radio institution who thousands listen to every day on iHeartMedia, New York's Q104.3. We're going to be talking today about AFib with Ken. It's something that's near and dear to his heart. He had a friend that has been diagnosed with AFib, and so we're all about bringing awareness about AFib, what you can do about it, what is it, where you go for help, and of course, Healthy 360's AFib community is also a resource for you as well. Ken has a lifelong career in radio. He's a playwright, he's an actor, does many, many things, but more importantly, his passion around AFib is going to obviously be apparent today as we talk to Ken. On his show, he does a popular show called Breakfast with the Beatles, and he's had some of my favorite singers come into his studio, Paul McCartney, Ringo, Billy Joel, and James Taylor, just to name a few. So Ken, good to see you today.
Dave, Courtland, thanks for having me out.
Yeah, wow. What a career. Radio, you're an actor, you're a playwright. Do you sing?
No, I can't sing a note, but
okay.
With all this kind of stuff, I still wonder what I'm going to do when I grow up. You know, it's still
Right.
being a little kid, doing something I love.
Right. But now AFib, so you're in media, you're in entertainment, doing your thing, and now all of a sudden you've got this passion around AFib. Tell us where that came from.
So I know a lot of us have heard the term AFib, atrial fibrillation, this giant word, something about a heart. I mean, it's a common type of irregular heartbeat, and people have it. And just what you said before about your friend, I feel like everybody has someone in their family or somebody they know. So I was playing golf with a good friend this past summer, somebody who started me in radio. I hadn't seen him in a couple of years. And, you know, you catch up. How are the kids? How are you doing? And he said, funny, you know, I've had this weird kind of little thing in my chest. I went to the doctor, and I've been diagnosed with AFib.
And you're like, what is that?
So, you know, it's a word you heard but didn't know about. I said, so, you know, I got to take care of this. I got to really treat it. You could ignore it, but I'm going to treat it. So I started researching it and learning about it. And I found out that AFib, not caused by a heart valve problem, if you have that, people are 5 times more likely to have a stroke than any other type. Now, and of those strokes, they're more severe and they can be fatal. They can be disastrous. And that word terrifies me. Yeah. Of all the things, it happened to my mom. She had to fight back. And I thought, okay, I don't know if people ignore this or not. As we get older, and especially men, I think we have a sense of, oh, it'll go away. You know, it's a thing. We're men. It's a thing. It'll go away. Yeah. You know, we spend so much more time worrying about our cars and about, you know, what's wrong with the computer.
Or that new driver you want, right?
The new Callaway, which I just got. But you know, but your heart, it'll go away. If it's still here in 2 weeks, maybe I'll see somebody. So that's why I'm doing all this, is to raise awareness about AFib, the dangers involved, and to go talk to your doctor about lowering your risk of stroke.
Yeah.
So Ken, you said this is a fairly common condition. It can lead to stroke. Can you tell us about how prevalent this actually is in the U.S. and what are some of the other complications it can lead to?
Yeah, so in 2017, there are about 7 million Americans living with this condition.
What's that number?
7 million Americans.
Wow.
And just this condition. So, you know, we do tend to ignore. Here's what I see, is that basically in health, we ignore things until it's horrible and we can't ignore it. Right. It happens, you know, until we're in an ambulance, until someone calls 911. And if anything comes out of today is, please don't wait till that moment comes. Yeah. Go talk to your doctor. So I thought, okay, I've been on the radio all this time. Let me use this platform and get the word out. We can always just buy commercials and stuff, but between the Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer Alliance and the National Stroke Association, all of us at iHeartMedia, so we started this campaign, tune in to afib.com. And really, it's not just about like shaking your finger. It's just, hey, check this out. Think about this. Stop. Right. If this affects you, rather than ignore it, make the phone call, go get checked out, because there are severe consequences.
Right. I think we're so afraid to take up our doctor's time because you go in for your general appointment, you've got 15-minute window, maybe if that, with your doctor. So I think we're afraid to be that squeaky wheel, and take up our doctor's precious time.
And you know what? Like I said, there's some people who call their doctor every 3 hours, and I'm warm, I'm cold, and and we don't want to be that. We're fine, and I'm certainly fit into that category. And every doctor I know, or friends talk to and say, don't come to me when we're halfway down the road of a problem.
Right.
Come to me. The earlier you can get to something, the better off you are. I've been ignoring a dermatologist for years. I have, Dave, you and I have the same kind of coloring.
Yeah.
I've been out in the sun all my life, and he was like, no, as soon as you see something and you question something, you come here.
Right.
Don't wait. Waiting is bad. Coming early, waiting bad.
Yeah.
Coming in early, good.
Right.
Well, Ken, one of the platforms that we stand on most often is early detection saves lives, and I think that's what you're hitting on here. So, what were some of those early warning signs? How do I know that, well, you know what, I just went out hiking, or I just played 18 holes of golf and, I'm a little tired, versus, hey, there is something here that's out of the ordinary that I've got to really talk to a doctor about?
I would never, I'm a disc jockey, I would never profess to tell people the difference, but that's why we built this website, tuneintofib.com.
Yeah.
All the information that you need about how do you feel, what the symptoms are, what the risks are, how often do you smoke, are you active, do you drink to excess, what's your lifestyle. All of that is built into tuneintofib.com. Now, the other thing, it's not just a health site. We talked about how do you get people to come to this website. So I've been a rock DJ for my entire life, as Dave mentioned, all the people I know. And music just has this powerful ability to motivate people. People, you might not, you shake your finger in someone's face and say, you should exercise more. You go, yeah, thank you.
Right.
But so I called an old friend, one of my favorite musicians, Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes,
sure.
right,
Yeah,
from New
Southside,
Jersey.
Yeah.
So a few weeks back, he did a private concert for us downtown here in Manhattan, small intimate group, not 20,000 people, but an intimate performance, and it's rockin', it's soulful, it's blues, it's rock.
Yeah.
And I always thought about that. I thought, who has a big heart? And I mean that in a literal and spiritual sense.
Sure.
And I told him what we're doing. He's got an album, Hearts of Stone.
Right.
I'm like, you want to do this? He said, I'm all in.
Yeah.
So there's this concert. If you go to tuneintofib.com, you're going to see highlights of this incredible rock concert that Southside did. Even if that's your only motivation to go check out some great rock video from a live concert, go to tuneintofib.com for that. But all the information you want is there.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
in a sense, you're kind of using music to motivate people to come to the site to learn more about AFib. It's kind of like a two-fer.
Exactly right. Like, we promise you entertainment. If you, regardless of just, you will get all the information, but really, whether you stay there for 5 minutes or watch all the videos, it's going to be tremendous.
Yeah. It's interesting because you're able to draw these big names. Southside Johnny, you got James Taylor coming in, you've got Billy Joel you sit and chat with. And, at Healthio 360, we deliver virtual social therapy, right?
Right.
And so, number one, we hit on a couple of very important points. Men, by our very nature, this too shall pass, just a little hiccup, and we ought to, really not think like that. But when you hear somebody's story, when you look at a celebrity and you say, gosh, if they can get this condition, I can get this condition. And it's so therapeutic for people to hear other people's stories.
Right.
Because they're not alone.
Right.
And that's what we try to do here, and that's what we want to make sure we're doing, with your AFib work, is getting that word out. If you're feeling something, you're not alone, right?
It's exactly it. And it's not, somebody asked me once, is it an old person's disease?
No.
No, look, as we get older, our body wears down and, things happen. But I always look at it as there's no cure for aging. But Well, but it's great that we're aging, and when you're 70, you're not sitting in a rocking chair. Paul McCartney's 74. He's on show number 50-something of this year's tour in Australia. No, we're not slowing down. We want to keep going
Billy
and to be
Joel's
healthy.
still rocking it out at the Garden, right?
Yep,
Selling that place out.
Selling that place out. He had hip surgery. He had a hip replacement surgery. He didn't do that so he could be sitting. He can sit on his rocking chair in Long Island. He doesn't need. People say, "Why do you do it? You don't need the money."
Yeah.
Paul McCartney said to me, "That's the stupidest question." People say, "Oh, you must be tired of answering questions about the Beatles." He's like, "No, I love the Beatles. We were the Beatles."
Yeah.
No, the only thing I'm tired of when people go, "You don't need the money. Why you still do it?"
Yeah.
Why do I do something I love that I'm great at that people love? Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
We do this because it's in our hearts. It
That's
matters.
right. It matters, absolutely. Well, I'm in good company. If Billy I just had my hip replaced about 2 months ago or so. And in fact, you can see the end-to-end surgery at healthyo360.com.
I don't recommend.
Right from the first incision to the sawing and the hammering of the new titanium hip. But it's truly, it's a miracle procedure.
I mean, these days, that's the other thing, is that we live in an age now, in 21st century, with all the yelling and screaming that we have in politics and the social upheaval in our world. What's happening medically is unbelievable, of new drugs and new procedures and things that get done in terms of body replacement and cleaning out. My wife had her meniscus cleaned out.
Right.
You know, the doctor said we were waiting 3 weeks, and she called and said, "Hey, I have an opening this Friday at 11, like it was her hairstylist calling who had an opening. Can you make it?" Yeah. And she's in hospital for special surgery when it went at 11. She was operated on at 1. I took her home at 3. We had dinner at 6. And like, you sit there and go, this is the world we're living in now.
Yeah.
So it makes it even more ridiculous to ignore something that's wrong, because the doctor isn't going to wring his neck and go, well, we're going to lay off the booze. Or, I mean, yes, we should always live a healthy lifestyle, but there are real things that can be done. You can talk to your doctor about reducing your risk of stroke, because it's dangerous. So that's the whole point of tune into AFib.com. As you said, early detection, knowledge is power. Don't ignore it.
Yeah. So you've got BMS,
Right.
you've got Pfizer in the boat.
Right.
So you've got some powerful organizations behind this. What's their role in I know building awareness, right?
Right.
Is one, educating patients and caregivers. But how did you get hooked up with the pharma industry to bring this, shed light on AFib?
It's weird sometimes how things coalesce all together, like for a purpose. And I don't know if it's happened to your life. I know probably everybody listening here, like, you come together with a group of people. That's how, like, every play that I've done has happened. I've written a play, and the perfect actor gets introduced to me who just finished a play, and I say, "Hey, would you want to read this? I love it. Let me bring it to my producer." And things happen that way. So this combination of, Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer and the National Stroke Association.
Yeah.
And so all of us at iHeartMedia just said, rather than just buy commercials, let's build something, which I love. Let's go outside the box and do this. And for me, rock and roll is like, okay, but let's have a music component in it, because it's fun to watch our kind of music, to watch a live band playing, sweating, greasy, rocking and rolling. Let's bring that to it. And I always want, for me, a charity component. I do a lot of charity work and on the board of different charities. So if you go to tuneintoafib.com, there's a little quiz on the website, just a minute-long quiz. For everybody who takes that quiz, $1 will be donated to the National Stroke Association, up to $30,000.
Fantastic.
So everybody's always dinging us, right? Give money, could you give some money? All you have to do is take the quiz, and you're donating $1.
And I'm sure a lot of people are wondering how they can tell if they're at risk for AFib, so this quiz probably
Exactly.
helps them out.
If you, as what you said before, Dave, about what if I just went for a hike, or hustling, bustling through the streets. Well, you're not sure. This is that moment that we always talk about.
Yeah.
Even if that's your first step, tune into afib.com. Just look through what it says there and see if that's the reason to make a phone call tomorrow.
Yeah. So the quiz, how long does that take?
I mean, literally, that's all we're asking you to do. Of like, hey,
No studying required. I
there's
just jump
no,
right
you
in.
don't need a cheat sheet. It's not going to
I don't have
be.
to look over at my neighbor's paper to see.
No, it's really. I mean, it's obviously simple and fun, and it's one
Yeah.
of those like layup kind of things. Just to answer, like, click through a few questions, and you've donated $1 for your 60 seconds of time. $1's been donated to the National Stroke Association, up to $30,000, and. We just started this campaign. This site just went live. Now it's for those watching. It's early December 2017, and it's my hopes that we just continue building this and building this. Again, the message isn't buy this, look at this cool bag. Buy this, buy that. It's pay attention, and I'm sure. There's so many things that you guys have done here, through all of your, and if you boil it down everything you've done, isn't that the message that comes up over and over again of like, don't ignore your health, pay attention, do something.
Self-checks and everything.
You've got to be your own best advocate, right? Early detection saves lives. We say it time and time again. You've got to know when something's going on. You have to know your body, and you've got to have a relationship with your doctor that you can feel good about calling up and saying, look, something's not right. I need to get in. I need to have this looked at, and then put a plan in place, right, to deal with whatever it is you're dealing with.
Exactly. The tipping point for me was actually my dermatologist. I mentioned that a while back. I had gone in, had a little, just go for a checkup. My wife was just beat me over the head. You're always out in the sun and playing
I have
golf.
work
And
colleagues that do the same with me. Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God. And I went and I just have this red patch. I'm like, no, it's just, aging and sun damage. But you've got 2 little precancerous things by your eye, and we're going to take them off. And he sat down with me like very seriously. I'm like, you have like a very serious look for something that's precancerous. He said, so this is very serious. He said, you're totally fine. The chance of a precancerous cell, being a problem is virtually nil. You haven't seen me in 5 years. If we had waited another year, like, stage 1, 90% cure rate, stage 2, 70%. If you wait till it's stage 4, what tools? Now we're in a real danger zone,
Right.
and we've got to hope for a good outcome.
Right.
And all of this is not predicated on medicine. It's predicated on you not waiting 5 years, you in your 50s, to see me again. That's the best tool you can give me is let's just do this every year. It's not that I'm retiring and buying a boat with it. It's for you. It's just let's keep going. And he said, not just for me, the dermatologist, for your primary, for your team, for whatever specific thing you have. And the message finally got through. He sat me down and looked at me and went, let me just give you the numbers. You're a logical guy. I'm not going to preach. Here are the statistics if you don't come versus coming early. And loud and clear. You couldn't have said it any louder. So that's what tuneintoafib.com is all about. Just go click on it.
Just tune in.
Yeah, that's
Just
it.
it's
Exactly.
easy.
That's why we use
Just
those
tune in.
words. Just
Tune
tune
in
in
to
like it's a
afib.com.
radio. Right.
Okay, so we're going to shift gears a little bit. I'm a Cleveland, Ohio guy, and I grew up.
You don't want to talk about the Browns now, do you?
Well,
we're not going to talk about the
Ken,
Browns.
Ken, we're not going there. But what I do want to talk about is WMMS, the home of the Buzzard.
Buzzard.
I grew up listening to
Nice,
those guys.
great station.
Fantastic station. So I want to talk a little bit about music because I'm 1 chord away from being a musician. I've got a guitar that I play a little bit.
Excellent. Who are your favorite bands?
Oh, well, Billy Joel, James Taylor, nowadays the Strokes, big into the Strokes,
Yeah.
the Black Keys, Ohio guys,
Yeah.
right? So all good Midwesterners. Thinking back, you've had some of the biggest personalities come in your studio and sit down, probably bring their guitar and play and sing, and
Been lucky.
you've been lucky. But you're also very talented, so I could see why they want to come in and spend time with you. Who is the most memorable, without offending anybody,
Right.
that one interview that you think back and you say, wow, that was something, and you just walked away and you go, that's just an amazing person, amazing story.
You know, Dave, honestly, there's so many of them. You know, when you're meeting giants, like, you know, talking with Paul and with Ringo,
Right.
and little Steven from Bruce Springsteen's band is actually a very dear friend. So in a way, it's amazing, but because it's a friend, it's different. And just, you know, standing aside of the stage, you know, having a burger with Bruce and talking music, not his music, but we grew up, and that's great.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, the interview you're talking about, that, oh wow, because I was very young. We were just going to Germany to cover Roger Wall was doing The Wall when the Berlin Wall fell in 1990. And like 2 weeks before we went to cover the concert, David Bowie had a new album out. And I got to interview David Bowie.
Wow.
And he is the most engaging, intelligent, remarkable guy who wasn't just there to sell. We talked about the new album and the process. And I said to him, so I know about you spent time in Berlin with Iggy Pop, the song Heroes, about a love affair between someone in the East and the West, looking across no man's land, wishing we could be heroes just for one day and actually kiss each other. So it's powerful. I'm going to Berlin for the first time. I'm going to Germany. And as a Jewish kid growing up, my father fought in World War II. I'm excited, but it's a little weird for me. And he just said, let me tell you about Berlin and what it was then and how it's changed. And we just talked. And his publicist was there and said, I hate to interrupt, guys, but we really have to keep this moving. And he turned to him and said, actually, if you could call them and say we're going to be a little late, I'd like to finish up. And I wasn't even recording. And now it was just two people talking about life and World War II, what it meant to him growing up in England, and how much worse it was in England, and how we read it from history books. He said, but did you grow up eating World War II rations? No, we all did. Did you grow up with a card for to have a sweet at the shop, and you had an allotment of sweets or soap or milk? No, we did. And we've really had like a half hour, 45 minutes of talking about post World War II life in England versus here, and what to expect. And I'll never forget it as long as I live. Wow. And it wasn't just me. Everyone who I know, so a friend who's a acclaimed photographer who's taken every rock and rapper and does all the high-end covers, he said he was given 2 minutes to shoot David Bowie for a magazine article for Vogue. And they said, you've got 2 minutes on the clock, and walked in. David said, I've seen your work. I'm interested. Your use of shadow is different than anyone else. There's a picture you did, and he just talked. I'm like, I'm not going to get this picture. And they said, time's up. And Bowie said, I'm sorry, we haven't begun yet. And he's so interested in you.
Yeah.
Courtland, tell me about you. Tell me, and that his whole life was about exploring the world. And you realize there's a reason the music just vibrates on such a level.
Yeah.
What a loss we've experienced with his passing.
We lost so many. This year, Tom Petty, just crushing.
Right.
Tom Petty didn't sound like any other artist. Everybody, there's so many songs that explode when they start, The Who, bang. Tom Petty, he was such a Southerner. He was such a Floridian. His songs kind of just amble in. The Last Dance for Mary Jane.
Yeah.
Breakdown, da, 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 da. They just kind of walk in very slowly and go, mind if I sit down, tell you a story?
Yeah.
And it's just, I melt into it.
Yeah.
But
great storytellers.
yeah, and that's the music that lasts forever. That's why classic rock, bless its little head, is stronger than ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Ken, just for the record, the Browns are in a rebuilding year. I'll leave it at that. Tune into afib.com. Great website. Go take that quiz. Look, $1 is going to be donated. Good cause. Ken, I applaud you for all your work, and thanks for stopping by.
Dave, thank you so much. Courtland, thank you so much. Tune in to afib.com. Great rock and roll from Southside Johnny. All the information about AFib and $1. And if you really think that 2017, the Browns are in a rebuilding year, I feel like for most of my adult life, they have been in a rebuilding year, but I'll let that go.
Mine as well, but never give up, Ken.
No.
Tune in to afib.com. Ken, thanks again.
Thank you.